The mountain cabin had always been more than wood and stone. It was my mother's laughter echoing through the halls, my father's quiet whistling as he chopped firewood, and the golden light of summers that seemed to stretch forever. I had inherited it after their passing, a sanctuary perched among pine and cedar, far above the noise of city life. For years I kept it untouched. Work, responsibility, and grief kept me away, but in my heart, I knew that cabin was my anchor. I told myself one day I would return, not just to visit, but to breathe, to heal. That summer, I finally made the journey. The narrow dirt road wound up the mountainside, and my chest filled with anticipation. But when I arrived, something was off. The driveway was littered with tire tracks, the shutters were open, the front porch had a bright red cooler half, filled with melted ice and beer cans. My breath caught. Inside, laughter spilled from the living room. I froze, my hand still on the door frame. A familiar voice rang out, "Perfect, right? Can you believe this place was just sitting here all these years? Well, not anymore. It's our summer home now." It was my cousin, Darren. The words hit me like ice water. Our summer home. I stepped inside. Darren and his wife, Cheryl, were lounging on my furniture as though they owned it. Family photos were shoved into a box in the corner, replaced by their framed selfies. My parents' old quilt was crumpled on the floor, used as a picnic mat. "Darren," I managed, my voice trembling, "what the hell are you doing in my cabin?" He looked up, startled for only a second before recovering with an easy grin. "Oh, you're here early. Look, don't be mad. This place was going to waste. We thought we might as well use it. Family, right? Sharing is what family does." I stood there shaking. The betrayal was just beginning. The confrontation that followed shattered whatever fragile bond remained between us. "This is my property," I said. "You can't just break in and break in." Darren scoffed. "Don't exaggerate. The door was unlocked. You never use the place anyway. We're doing you a favor, keeping it alive." Cheryl chimed in, her tone sweet but sharp as glass. "And honestly, you should thank us. We cleaned it up, brought in new furniture. It looks less like an old folks' museum now." I stared at the worn rug beneath their new couch, the rug my mother had chosen on her last trip to town. Their idea of cleaning up was erasing every trace of my family. Over the weeks that followed, things only worsened. Word spread quickly among relatives. At the next family gathering, I expected support. Instead, I got laughter, dismissals, even judgment. "Oh, come on," Aunt Leela said. "You live in the city. You don't need that cabin. You're selfish." Another cousin added, "It's just a cabin. Why not let Darren enjoy it?" The words cut deeper than I admitted to them. It was just a building. To me, it was blood, memory, sanctuary, and so the betrayal festered. Darren posted pictures online of his mountain getaway, bragging to friends, throwing barbecues, letting strangers sleep in my parents' bed. Every photo was another knife twisting in my chest. I tried confronting him again. He shrugged me off. "You can't stop us. Family property, family rules. Besides, what are you gonna do? Sue your own blood." I walked away that night, silent but burning inside. They thought I would fold, that my silence meant surrender. But silence can be the sound of planning. I began quietly. First, I checked the property deed, confirming every legal detail. The cabin was solely mine, inherited and registered in my name. Darren had no claim. Next, I installed cameras tiny, hidden in corners they would never notice. Each visit they made became evidence. Parties, drunken brawls, property damage, even strangers they invited without my consent. Then I hired an attorney, quiet, efficient, patient. Together we built a case so strong it could crush every flimsy excuse Darren might attempt. But revenge, I knew, was more than paperwork. I wanted him to feel what I felt, the humiliation, the stripping away of something sacred. So I waited, letting him dig his own grave with every boastful post, every arrogant word. One evening, Darren called me himself. "Hey," he said cheerfully, "you're not planning to use the cabin this summer, Right. We're hosting a 4th of July bash there. Big crowd. Gonna be epic. My lips curved into the faintest smile. Oh, don't worry, I said softly. I wouldn't miss it for the world. The day of Darren's grand party arrived. The cabin was packed, cars lined the road, music blared, people laughed with drinks in hand. Darren stood on the porch, puffed up with pride, playing the role of host. And then the officers arrived. Police cars pulled up, lights flashing. My attorney and I followed behind, calm as the storm descended. Darren Collins, the officer called out. He blinked, confused. Yeah, you're under arrest for trespassing, property damage, and unlawful use of private property. The crowd gasped. Phones came out, recording everything. Darren's face turned pale as he saw me standing behind the officers, arms crossed. This is my property, I said clearly, my voice carrying over the stunned silence, and you have been using it without permission for years. Today it ends. The humiliation was complete. Darren stammered, tried to argue, but the evidence was overwhelming. Videos, photos, legal documents. The very people he had bragged to now watched him in disgrace. The cabin was emptied. His belongings were thrown out onto the porch like garbage. Cheryl screamed, begged, cursed, but none of it mattered. By nightfall, the cabin was mine again. Silent, sacred, untouchable. I sat by the fireplace, the quiet wrapping around me like an old friend. The betrayal still ached, but the revenge was sweet, precise, and just. I whispered into the empty air as if my parents could hear me. They tried to take you from me, but I fought back and I won. The cabin remained mine, not just in deed, but in spirit. A fortress of memory and justice, and Darren, he never recovered from the shame. Family or not, some wounds are self-inflicted, and some betrayals demand a price.